Alright friends, I'm starting to feel like pre-calculus is getting serious now. That last video I shot was something like 8 minutes. Alright, number 69 here, it says find the zeros. Alright, and talk about the multiplicity of each zero. Okay, and write an equation expressed as a product of factors. Alright, and then use the leading coefficient of 1 or -1 and make the degree of f as small as possible. All right, and part C says use both the equation in part B and the graph to find the y-intercept. Okay. Whew, that is a lot going on. So a few things. My zeros are at here. -3, 0, and +2, 0. Okay, so whatever my f of x is, okay, I'm going to have a factor at x plus 3, and is going to be one of the factors of it, and another one is going to be x minus 2. Okay, now this is just barely touching, right? So, oops, I should have written it here. Zeros at boo boo boo. It's barely touching at -3, 0, right? It doesn't cross the x-axis, and so this will have multiplicity 2, and this will also have, because again at the graph it just barely touches that point, multiplicity 2. In all honesty, it could have multiplicity 4, 6, 8, and any other even number. But because the instruction says keep the degree as small as possible, the smallest even number is in fact 2. Okay. All right, now my function is going to have this as a factor because of the multiplicity 2. I'm going to put a squared right here, and I'm also going to put a squared right here. All right, and it says make the leading coefficient 1. There's my 1 right there. Cool. That is part A up here. Oops, I should have written that down. And part B is write the equation. Here's our equation right here. All right. And then part C says use both the equation and the graph to find the y-intercept. Now the y-intercept, according to the graph, is here. It's 9 dots down, right? But according to this information, each dot, each tick mark, I should say, is worth 4. So my y-intercept is at 0, comma, go down, 9 times 4 is -36. All right, according to the graph. Now, according to equation, I'm going to plug in 0 for x and see what happens. F of 0 equals 1. 0 plus 3 squared, x, oops, 0 minus 2 squared. This should be -1 because it is facing downward, down and down. I should have caught that earlier, my bad. F of 0 is going to be then -1 times 3 squared times -2 squared. That's 9, that's 4. 9 times 4 is 36, times -1 is -36. In other words, it checks out 0, -36 is the y-intercept according to the equation as well. careful with these negative things. All right, and that's where I slipped. I hope you don't make my mistake.